one of the most painful outcomes or tragedy of the ANC failures is how this party has given a bad name to the transformation project in South Africa. It is scary to realize that BEE and Affirmative Action are beginning to lose credibility even among their intended beneficiaries in South Africa. I've been working on this video podcast for the past month. Actually, I started working on it and sort of neglected it, but time and again, the triggers just kept on pushing me to do it when I saw the events that have been unfolding, AfriForum, DA going to the United States and those kind of things. And the opportunism that the conservative agenda has been utilizing to try to discredit all the policies that have got to do with transformation. And I'm not talking about what the ANC is doing. There's a difference between what the ANC is doing and genuine BEE and affirmative action. Welcome to the Voice in the Wilderness. This is the Enterprising Converzations channel. I'm your channel host, Rendani. It is ironic to me to see how the ANC, which is a liberation movement, how this organization seems to, how its conduct rather, the conduct of the ANC, seems to confirm almost every stereotype that apartheid has about black people. This is very painful, considering that the ANC is an organization that claims to be fighting against colonialism. Now, how has the ANC's mismanagement, how has their mismanagement and corruption strengthened conservative narratives and agenda in South Africa? The ANC's incompetence and criminality haven't just had service delivery. They've given ammunition to those who want to preserve white privilege. And I have to declare here, I think it's so foolish, so unwise to judge people on the basis of their skin color. I'm not here to advocate for race-based politics. I'm very allergic to those kind of politics. I would never see myself as a member of the EFF. Similarly, I would never see myself as a member of the DA because I don't believe they are genuine about inclusivity. The party that I would ideally like to belong to is not yet there. It's not there in South Africa. It's not here in South Africa. Now, ironically, programs like BEE and Affirmative Action, they're programs that are designed to redress the imbalances of the past, have been rendered so unpopular by the ANC, even among their intended beneficiaries, among black people. Why? Because the ANC has allowed these policies to be hijacked by elites and corrupt syndicates. The ANC has turned these policies into tools for self-enrichment rather than broad-based empowerment. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't care what you call it, whether you call it black economic empowerment. I'm more concerned about the outcomes. It's an imperative. The imperative for building an inclusive society hinges on the stability, continued stability of this and peace of this nation. It's a moral imperative for us to do that. If you ask me, I believe the current ANC, the ANC of today, cares less about genuine economic empowerment for black majority. They are completely distracted. They are consumed by their insatiable greed for money and creature comforts. They are more concerned about working with vampire business enterprises to loot state resources for personal gain. Now, I want to unpack to you the right-wing assault on transformation. The right wing have seized on the ascendance of Donald Trump to power. These conservative forces like your AfriForum, platforms such as Biz News, Mike Shem's State of the Nation have launched a full-scale attack on transformation. They present the BEE and Affirmative Action as inherently bad policies. If you ask them, they want corporates, multinationals to just come and invest in South Africa, use our state resources and just and create jobs, probably exploitative job, and just leave the country whenever they feel like. They don't care because they don't seem to care about those kind of things, because there is a level of alienation among the likes of Mike Shem and AfriForum. They live in Africa, but they want to be governed from Europe, from elsewhere. And when I know they are genuine compatriots, but to build a genuinely united nation, we need people whose heart and soul are in South Africa, on the African continent. And I'm a strong advocate for genuine collaboration between white and black people. You can never build South Africa without whites and black and whites cannot build South Africa alone. Blacks cannot build South Africa alone. It's impractical. It's my heartfelt view that we need to do away with divisiveness in the country and make sure that we collaborate. But that should not be at the expense of the reality. If BE is too toxic for you, I'm not married to any, what you call it. If, for example, you do a means test, you come up with a program that is based on means test, you do away with the color, I don't care about that. I'm interested in the outcome. What I would like to see is an South Africa that is inclusive. South Africa that reflects our diverse nation in every facet of South African life, in business, in every sector of South African economy, in property. We must have property developers. People should not come outside to come and buy or view property in South Africa and find that the people who are showing them property or the people who are developers are exclusively white. It's bad, especially when you are in an African or on the African continent. You don't find it anywhere. I cannot go to America and find that economic sectors are owned by black minority. It will never be tolerated anywhere in the world. That status quo cannot hold for even a day. Now, even those black people, those black advocates for preserving white privilege, must think about this. Can you ever imagine black minorities owning a lion's share of European economies, Western economies? It can never happen. It would never be tolerated. As we speak, Donald Trump is not even pleased with a sprinkling, a moderate inclusion of black people in government or anywhere in American society. He has been forcing retailers like Targets, companies, he has been penalizing companies and giving them pressure to get rid of programs that were meant to drive inclusivity. This is the agenda of a man who the likes of the DA, AfriForum, and Business want to normalize. A man who looks up to Hitler. A man who is dividing the American population. That's what they want to normalize, and they want South Africa to roll over and allow and implement and build South Africa in the image of America, as if we are not a state. So, as much as one who is at pain to say we need to build a non-racial nation, we don't need to alienate each other, and we need to be sensitive. For example, I hate the fact that there are people who saying kill the farmer, kill the Boer. It's nonsense. If I were a president, I would put them in jail and throw away the keys for good. I wouldn't tolerate such nonsense. At the same time, white people should know that there are sensitivities in South Africa. As a black person who's lived under apartheid, nothing bothers me than to see white people going to the White House to act as if we're a branch, an administrative branch of the American government. So people must forego those apartheid tendencies where only their feelings, what they want, mattered. This is a majority black country, and we cannot just work on the basis of you have got to feel my pain, you have got to feel your pain. That's how you build a nation. So we are sensitive about people who want to make us subjects of our past. Africa was colonized. Be sensitive to that. I wouldn't want to see a situation where we are being colonized by stealth. On the sly, we are being colonized, and we have to report. We have got to get Donald Trump to sign off on the policies. We didn't vote for Donald Trump. And I believe even those white people didn't vote for Donald Trump. Why should Donald Trump come and tell us what to do? Yes, you can tell me that he will withdraw investment, but who's going to suffer most? Yes, we'll suffer, but we don't own. Black people don't own the economy. Those who will suffer most are those who own the economy. And there's just a bottom line. There's a red line. You can threaten me with anything, but there's a red line where I'd rather be independent on an empty stomach than be full and still be a slave to America or to Western powers. That's the red line that our white compatriots or the conservative section, because I need to distinguish, not everyone is AfriForum, not everyone is DA in South Africa. I have to temper my language and align it with that reality. Now, the strategy that the conservative agenda is using in South Africa is to exploit the ANC's failure to argue that all progressive policies are flawed. Even respected voices like Moeletsi Mbeki, can you believe it, have joined the fray, making outrageous claims like and even suggesting black South Africans already own the entire economy. Yes, I could only look with disbelief as Moeletsi Mbeki was making that assertion on some independent media platform. Even more troubling is that there's a buy-in of black-owned independent media platforms. I've seen many YouTubers who have bought into the anti-transformation agenda. A growing and influential number of these platforms are mimicking the conservative agenda without giving a nuanced perspective on topics such as affirmative action and BEE. I know that these people are dismayed by the ANC's corruption and failures, but we don't have to be frustrated to the extent of speaking and even advancing policies that are against our interest. Remember, it's important to remember that the standard of living that white people live today here did not come out just come out of hard work and ingenuity. There was white affirmative action here in South Africa. It's important for black people not to forget, because memory is a platform upon which future progress is built. If you forget where you're coming from, you'll be lost. There was white economic empowerment here in South Africa. There was job reservation, a version of affirmative action. So if BEE and affirmative action are so bad, why don't white people, those who have benefited from them, and let me not say white people, your conservatives, why don't these conservative people who have benefited, why don't they come and say, we want to forgo the wealth, the farms, the wealth, and the businesses that we accumulated under apartheid through job reservation and generational wealth? Why don't they forgo, donate them to charity, if it is so bad? So it is important to make the point that, yes, South Africa needs economic growth, but economic growth without inclusivity is very bad. I want to use America as an example of how walking into an agenda that you don't understand with a blindfold can leave you having a bias remorse. Many American voters are regretting big time. Many African Americans who have voted for Donald Trump are eating humble pie. Many Latinos who thought they were too close to whites or the conservative forces to be victimized are today having a bias remorse. Trump is deporting Venezuelans. Trump is deporting Latinos. No, indiscriminately. The very same people, he doesn't care whether you voted for him. And that is not for the first time. There are black people who fought in America, World War. What happened? Soldiers, when they came back from those wars, the government compensated white soldiers and ignored black soldiers. There are soldiers here in Africa who fought in the world wars. What happened? When the war was won, they compensated white soldiers and ignored black soldiers, let alone to honor them, that they participated. So black people need to be, as much as we need, I believe that as black people, as Africans, we've got Ubuntu. Whilst we need to follow Nelson Mandela's cue and not allow what people have done to us in the past to shape our behavior and conduct and character and our values. At the same time, we must guard against voting against our own interests. What happened with Herman Mashaba in Johannesburg? Herman Mashaba got out of the DA because the DA was saying, hey, We don't want you to use money that is being paid by our constituency to develop black areas. And my belief is that for South Africa to prosper, black and white people need to join hands and say, I'm advocating for genuine collaboration than racial division. There needs to be genuine collaboration among black and white people to redress the legacies, to make sure if we have to do away with the name black economic empowerment, so be it. I know the DA talks about means test. I subscribe to that, because the reality is that if we use the means test of rural based, net worth, property ownership, black people will, the majority of black people are the ones who will qualify. Informal settlement, it doesn't make a difference. It's just simple mathematics. So I believe the BEE can still be reformed in one way or the other. What I'm lamenting here is to say, be careful. Let's not use the corruption of the ANC as the standard for BEE. Let's not confuse the cadre deployment of the ANC with affirmative action. Let's not confuse the looting and tenderpreneurship of the ANC with black economic empowerment. As a small business practitioner, I've worked in mining communities. I've seen instances where genuine supplier development program, which is part of BEE, is making a difference in the lives of communities. I've seen instances where affirmative action that is being implemented correctly is making a difference. The same has happened in America. We are not the first people to implement redress policies. Yes, white people employed, Afrikaners employed redress policies here to empower, to deal with the poor white Afrikaner problem. I was mentored by a Jew, American Jew, who was a historian here in South Africa, who came and set up shop, and he studied the problem of he studied how the Afrikaners after the British, how they made sure that they create economic opportunities for white people, for white Afrikaners in South Africa. So my argument is that things are not just going to happen automatically. Growth alone is not enough. We need to enlarge the economic pie. But in doing so, we need to be careful that we don't leave many people behind. Because this has happened in America. The American economy has been growing. It is considered the best performing consistently economy. But what has happened? The gap between the rich and the poor has never been wider. You just need to listen to Senator Bernie Sanders. The top 1% of America owns more than 50%, more than, they own more wealth than the bottom 50% of the American population. So economic growth is not panacea. As we grow our economy, we've got to innovate and make sure that as we grow the economy, we take everyone along. And that does not necessarily mean creating white poverty in order to address black poverty. No, we must work together with white people to say, white compatriots, if we don't address the situation of Deep Sloth, the situation of Alexander, we will continue to be imprisoned in our own houses. It will become a trap for the next generations. We need to come up with programs that will make sure that everyone is included. So even though we might not call it black, I am contending that economic growth, a situation where you just allowed companies to come and use our resources, create jobs, took a lion's share of what they've extracted from South Africa, take a lion's share and go and leave the country, it's not going to work. We need a way of making sure that South Africa gets a fair share. South Africans get a fair share. Those who are still left behind get a fair share of the economic surplus, national surplus. That's my contention. And the ANC has given a bad name to BEE and affirmative action. And I cannot blame even black people who are feeling dismayed by the ANC and now supporting the policies that are against affirmative action and BEE. I understand the frustration. But the fact of the matter is that, and what has led to that is that failure is devastating, has got devastating consequences. It breeds cynicism. It leads to a situation where people, in their search for answers, they throw out the baby with the bathwater. Imagine if the ANC was succeeding, if the ANC was growing the economy, if South Africans were safe in their homes, if there was service delivery, there was abundant electricity, no corruption at all. No one would be railing against BEE and affirmative action. So all these things come back to the conduct of the ANC. They've given a bad name to the transformation project because it doesn't matter how morally right the argument for BEE and affirmative action. The manner in which the ANC has corrupted BEE and affirmative action is such that it has alienated the intended beneficiaries of these programs from the very same programs. No program of transformation can lay claim to credibility if it leaves people worse than they were before it was implemented. That's the whole point. That's why people feel no attachment to BEE. They feel alienated completely. They feel no sympathy. Not many people want to defend BEE and affirmative action because of how it has been corrupted. So, yes, I would agree. There's a case for reforming and updating BEE and affirmative action, but wholesale abandonment, no ways. We also need BEE, broad-based economic empowerment, also needs to emphasize things like I love the what is it, economic equivalence of part of BE, because it goes to the grassroots, it benefits the grassroots. Instead of integrating black people, black faces into existing structures of owned by white people, we need to emphasize creation of new structures, new schools, new centers of excellence, new business enterprises, new cities in black communities where black people are. And instead of using these policies to alienate whites, there's one reality. Whites have got a lot of experience that they got. They've got a lot of ability. We must tap into all the talent. Instead of alienating whites, we must find a way of joining hands, partnering with them. Instead of treating white business as an enemy, because that is another problem. The attitude towards white-owned big business by the ANC is that as if they are an enemy. It's like we don't know what we are doing. We need investment from the truth of the matter. We cannot shy away from the fact that things that work in South Africa are in the private sector. Whatever government is touching is crumbling. You look at the military. The list is endless. The institutions that are working, I don't think you can count on my five fingers institutions that are working that belong to government. Everything that works in South Africa is in the private sector. So the recent imperative to make sure that these disparities in South Africa, economic disparities that express themselves in terms of race, they must serve to unite us than to divide us. We need to say, what is it that we can do together, black and white, because we are joined at the hip as far as the future of South Africa is concerned. If black people don't do well, white people will not do well. If white people don't do well, black people will not do well. So we need to embrace genuine collaboration. Let's partner. We know what the problems are. There must be true inclusivity. Let's upgrade the areas that need to be upgraded. Let's fix South Africa working together. The sports teams have been giving us a message, and we've been refusing it as the South African nation. Our national sports teams have been, Springboks have been telling us that diversity to collaboration, true, genuine collaboration works. Bafana, although they still need to be representative, and I know for sure no one, we used to, even during apartheid, we used to have more white players, so it's not something like there's a conscious effort to exclude them. Actually, sports teams don't work like that. They are after performance. They are not motivated by race. They just need performance. That's it. So you look at the Proteas, our national sports team. You look at Banyana. These teams are delivering because they are not about race. Diversity is our strength, and we need to nurture it and cultivate it. We need to learn from those lessons. We are refusing to hear what the Springboks are telling us. We are refusing to hear what our national sports teams, our athletic teams are telling us. The evidence is there. There is power in collaboration and unity. And we must not allow politicians who are interested in playing the race card to divide us. At the same time, the truth must be said. There is a case for deliberate effort to make sure that people are not left behind. America has been growing. American economy has been growing consistently. There is hard evidence that economic growth alone is not enough. Americans' unemployment is very negligible in America, but Americans have to take about 3 jobs to make ends meet. Inequality is a big challenge, and cost of living is a big challenge in America. But that is an American economy that is shooting on all cylinders. So the conservatives who are making the argument that just focus on economic growth, forget about addressing inclusion, forget about diversity, just like Trump is doing in America. I didn't vote for Trump. Why should we go and take? Why should we allow Trump to shape us in his own image? We must address our issues domestically by joining hands and finding solutions. And I believe South Africans are capable of doing just that. That is my 2 cents worth to the debate of BEE. The white conservative agenda has been weaponizing tariffs, Trump's tariffs, and lobbying for Trump to make abolition of BEE and affirmative action as a precondition for negotiating favorable trade relations between South Africa and America. And we are being blackmailed by the conservative agenda, saying that we need to abandon BEE and affirmative action in order to be given preferential, favorable treatment, trade relations, trade terms by America, which is a lie. Trump is just in a power game. It's not about righting the wrongs between America and the world in terms of economic trade. It's just engaged in a power game. What about Canada? He hasn't alleged a white genocide. He finds an excuse to do what he wants to do. He just wants people to go and be humiliated. He enjoys being the center of attention. He's a sadist. He enjoys to see people scream from the pain that is inflicting. That is bully economic tactics. He just wants to bully the world. So the conservatives are using the tariff agenda of Trump to blackmail South Africa into abandoning policies that are necessary. They want to bring us back to apartheid. On the stealth. They say, yes, we can all vote. Yes, we can go to the same shops and restaurant. But there must be no change in the ownership of the economy. There must not be inclusivity in South Africa, which is not tenable in the long term. That is my 2 cents worth contribution to the BEE and affirmative action debate. How the right wing in South Africa, including the DA, are weaponizing ANC failures to blackmail the country into abandoning the transformation project. We can't afford to throw out the baby with the bathwater. My emphasis is that what the ANC is doing is not BEE. We cannot use ANC's corruption as a measure, as a standard for measuring the effectiveness of BEE and affirmative action. And actually, in the early days, if you go back to Mbeki's administration, it was affirmative action. It was the inclusion of black people into the government that created the black middle class, which has benefited many white-owned businesses, corporations. The shopping malls that are in the townships. The electrification program in rural areas stimulated demand for goods and it stimulated the economy. But the perversion of these programs by the recent ANC administrations has given these programs a bad name. And we must make that distinction when you talk about BEE. This is the voice in the wilderness. Let me know what you think. And please, if you like the content, hit the like button, share, and subscribe, because we are building a community. We are building a community that supports and enables the development of small business enterprises. We are building and conscientizing the nation to defend our democracy through education, through a program such as Voice in the Wilderness. Yes, the core business is entrepreneurial education and training, but we also have to, politics is too important to be left to politicians alone. That is why the Enterprising Conversation channel has got the Voice in the Wilderness slot, which is about political commentary. Another segment of the channel is the Sights and Sounds of Mzansi, which is about travel and tourism. We're celebrating the beauty of South Africa as we go around the country, supporting small businesses. We incorporate travel and tourism through the Sights and Sounds of Mzansi business channel segment. Thank you for joining us. Hit that button and subscribe. Thank you.